It's Denmark who advance. And while already comparisons are being made to the team of '92, which had such a momentous journey all the way to the final that year and, of course, to European Championship victory, I'm sure some similarities are going to be made and comparisons are going to be made in the coming days. But Denmark deservedly through. Czech Republic gave it their best in the second half, but their best not good enough on this particular occasion, and they bow out at the quarter-final stage. And, of course, Denmark will be anxiously awaiting the next game, as we all are here, the Ukraine-England quarter-final, which is next up for us. But for the moment, the Danish players can enjoy another victory. Richie, your view on that one?
You'd have to take your hats off to this Denmark team. Like, what a remarkable story. We were all sitting 3 weeks ago watching the scenes. To imagine that they've gone from that scene, those scenes on that day, to being the only team left so far on that side of the tournament and awaiting to see who their opponent is on Wednesday.
Yeah, confirmation there of the paths towards the final. And Denmark are through, and they'll await the winner of England and Ukraine, which is next up. First of all, Diddy, what did that game tell us about Denmark that we didn't know already?
I don't think an awful lot. I think it showed us, as in many games we've seen, that you can't take anything for granted. You know, they were cruising at 2-0 at half-time, come out, concede, and little incidents decide and change games. And we saw it. They get that goal, Czech gets them back in the game, and then they were rattled for about 15-20 minutes. But they kept their composure. I think what we saw then in the last 15-20 minutes, you know, Kier, the centre-backs, the full-backs, the way they headed the balls, the way they defended, it was probably something they didn't have to do so far in this tournament, because they either lost or they won handsomely. It was just a brilliant defensive performance, and the Czechs made it hard. Richie just took his hat off to Denmark. I want to take my hat off to the Czechs, because I don't think most people gave them a chance at half-time. But they did come back and made a game, and you know, had 1 or 2 half chances to take it into extra time. But I think we got a deserved winner tonight, and yeah, whoever they face in the semi-final, they are tough not to crack. You see them here; they feel a long way back from Baku to London now. But I think they'll have a lot of fans at Wembley on to Wednesday, and whoever they face, if they face England, they'll give them a game. I tell you that.
Well, that was my next question, Liam. I mean, going on what we've seen from Denmark right throughout the tournament, how much of a game will they give either England or Ukraine?
Well, we're all hoping it's England. Maybe not all, but it'd be a great fixture, wouldn't it? Denmark-England next week in the semi-final. But obviously England have still got this match to play tonight. Yeah, hats off, as Richie said, to Denmark. Remarkable, you know, what happened with Christian Eriksen. Then to lose their second game to Belgium, have no points after 2 games, they didn't really factor that into the equation, and they had to dig deep to get out of the group by beating Russia by 4 goals, 4-1, and then they went on and played extremely well against Wales. And I thought it was a very professional performance tonight, although they did have that wobble after the Czechs scored. I thought the substitutions for the Czechs, Yankto particularly was a very good substitution, and it livened them up. But Denmark very strong defensively, and Diddy says the captain Kerr was magnificent at the back there.
Yeah, and Liam, given the way this tournament has evolved and the number of powerhouse countries that are no longer in the tournament, there's no reason to suggest now that Denmark can't actually win this.
Well,
you're not accepting that, are you?
I think if England get through, which I think they will later on, and you've got Italy and Spain on the other side, the Italians have been really impressive. But I'd love to see Denmark do it, you know, after what they've been through. I think everybody would, you know.
Yeah.
Anybody that's neutral would want Denmark.
So are you giving them a small chance? Maybe?
Yeah, a small chance.
Yeah.
20% chance.
I don't think it's just even what they've been through, even though they've been through a huge amount. That's impressive. Like, they've had to do this without their best player.
Yeah.
The player that they would have built so many of their attacking movements around for the last few years. And the managers had to change system. So they're all the things that you would assume would go against the team massively in a tournament situation. And then you chuck in all the psychological and emotional stuff, which is impossible to measure from this distance, but must have been horrendous to go through. So from any number of areas, you have to be like so impressed with this group of players and the management team for how they've handled everything. Do they have a chance on Wednesday? Absolutely, whoever they play. They're the 10th ranked team in the world, so we're not talking about this really unlikely bunch of pub players who've come from nowhere against the odds and got to this level. Like they would have quietly fancied their chances of going deep into this tournament. I don't think anyone would have fancied their chances after the second round match day 2 defeat against Belgium. All the different things they needed to happen to get through, and even beyond the group stages. So, like, what a story. This is the most remarkable story of probably any tournament.
It is, for so many reasons. And Diddy, of their performances so far, I mean, they had an excellent first half against Belgium. And then Belgium turned it on in the second half. But of the Danish performances we've seen so far, which do you think was the best that they've shown?
I think they were very good in the first half. I think they were very good against Wales for most parts. They were very good against Belgium, as you said, in the first half. I think they've grown. In the Belgium team, they may have needed the game to get over what they've experienced, what they saw in the first half against Finland. And you can't fault them. After the second game against Belgium, I don't think they hardly put a foot wrong, because Russia, you've got to put 4 past them. The Welsh, we know, they reached the semis in the last European Championships, and today against the Czech side, that's very stubborn, very hard to break down, and they created a lot of chances in the first half, deservedly led. Obviously, they could have made it a bit easier, but you can't be impressed by them, because they do whatever they need to do, and the subs they brought on, they gave something to the team's performance. And it's just a well-oiled machine, and they're so close together. You really feel every ball that comes into the box. They say, we've got to defend this ball, and always have in the back of the mind, we've got to do it for our star players. Richie said he was the main man. He's not there anymore now, or he can't be with them. And I've got a feeling they do it for him. And I can't imagine if they were to play England at Wembley on Wednesday. I think it'll be a tough game, because this is a very tough nut to crack. And what impressed me about them as well is the way they passed the ball. They were always a pretty industrious, workman-like team. And we've seen him here in Dublin a few times when they played. Mm-hmm. Obviously, apart from the 5-1, but usually it's not a team that's brilliant with the ball. But I think they improved with the ball as well. The first half, the way they passed the ball, Male has been brilliant again. They've got a very good defence in Damsgaard. They've got a player who can make a difference. And then Dolberg got a goal again. So, I think they're high on confidence. Every part of their team, they've got special players. Sky's the limit. The only thing against them, you can beat one big team in a tournament. That's always possible in a one-off game.
Yeah.
They probably have to beat 2 if England win tonight. They've got to beat England, and then they've got to beat Spain or Italy a few days later. And I think it's only possible if they don't get any suspensions or injuries. Then they have a small chance, but they've got a chance.
Yeah, they've got a chance, Liam. And listening to what you guys are saying, there aren't many really identifiable weaklings in this Danish side.
No, they're particularly strong at the back, Peter. They have Vestergaard, they have Kerr, who was magnificent tonight. I thought young Christensen was excellent again. And they've got a top-class goalkeeper in Kasper Schmeichel. I think they may lack a bit of quality in the forward line. They look a bit workmanlike. There's not the guile and the skill that other teams have. I think that's where they might be a little bit weaker than the other sides. Yeah,
they could do it maybe something like Patrick Schick up front, because again, as we had hoped, that somebody would get them back into the game and make a game of that second half. He did. Richie, what about this goal?
Yeah, we kind of half expected this, and as Liam said, you have to give a lot of praise to the Czechs for how they started the second half. This is a Soufal cross, which we see so many times during the game. Schick is the target, but this cross is so difficult to defend, because a defender isn't going to be able to make the first contact on it, because it's low and away and to the feet of the striker. You're hoping then just to get a block, and Vestergaard can't. So really well taken. Puts him level with Ronaldo as top scorer in the tournament now. Obviously, both of them are no longer in the tournament. But at that stage, you think they're really putting up to the Danes. But the Danes stood tall.
Yeah, they did, because, in fairness to the Czech Republic, they deserved that equaliser, did he? Because they came out at the start of that second half, all guns blazing, as they say.
Yeah, the manager made a couple of changes, and here's one of the substitutes, Kremenchik. The great strike, ball is moving, and Kasper obviously decides not to catch it. And just palms it. It's a good save in the end. And the substitutes really made a difference. This is Barak deflected shot where again Kasper makes a good save. Here, this is on target of Schick. I'm not sure whether it's going to go in, but I think the block of the defender was really vital in this case. Here's a tough ball to defend. And then the back post is Yankto, who came in as well. And they can clear it again. Kasper here is a last-ditch interception ahead of Souček, who got a head injury. And it shows the character of these guys. You know, I think he cut his ear, or even lost part of his ear. They taped his head, put a bandage around, and off we go. And every time a ball flew in the box,
he was there.
He was there. He was on the end of it. You know, he put his head. You know, he was blood-soaked, and the bandage and everything. It was another great game of football. You know, the tournament so far has been absolutely brilliant, and another really good game. And they threw everything they had at the Danish defence, but they just couldn't break him a second time. And but credit to the Danes, because it wasn't easy to defend. They had a few very tall players, the Czechs, you know, so if set pieces or balls in the box, they're really dangerous. But the longer the game went on, I think the more comfortable the Danes were, and deservedly progressed.
Yeah, and I suppose we saw once again, Liam, that they've got reasonable strength. We saw Poulsen coming on again, and he made a difference. He was among those who threatened the Czech goal during that second half.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy. His work rate's tremendous. He gets a little layoff from Braithwaite there, and he's away. But if there's one criticism of Poulsen, he doesn't score enough goals. And this is not bad. It's not a bad strike, but he could have done better, I think. And he's one of those guys that I think is a great team player. Mm-hmm. He tries to bend this one into the top corner. Again, another good save. This was the best chance for them to put the game to bed. And it's my man Mela again, breaking forward. What an attacking fullback he is. And I think Kenny called it out in commentary. He might have been better at pushing that ball through the goalkeeper's legs, because he had them wide open, and he chose the wrong option. But yeah, they could have increased the lead. They could have gone 3-4. But the Czech Republic were very, very brave. And as Didi says, it was another very good game to watch.
Yeah, they certainly made a match of it, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable game as well.